Christ is risen. This is the time of year. Whenever we see each other, we greet each other with Christ is risen. Indeed, he is risen. But as we'll see, the Apostle Thomas had some doubts about that. And we're going to find out what happens in John 20. But before we start, I wanted to let you know also, Thomas the Apostle is well known for his doubts and his disbelief, and that's why he's called Doubting Thomas. But he's also an amazing and a loyal apostle. And we know this from the time when Jesus was going to raise Lazarus from the dead, and it was Thomas who said, "Let us also go, that we may die with him." So he was very brave and loyal. But today we're finding out about the time he doubted. So this is from John 20. On the evening of that first day of the week, when the disciples were together, with the doors locked for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." After he said this, he showed them his hands and his side. The disciples were overjoyed when they saw the Lord. Again, Jesus said, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, I am sending you." And with that, he breathed on them, and he said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive anyone his sins, they are forgiven. If you do not forgive them, they are not forgiven." Now Thomas, one of the 12, was not with the disciples when Jesus came. When the other disciples told them that they had seen the Lord, he declared, "Unless I see the nail marks in his hands, and put my finger where the nails were, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe it." A week later, his disciples were in the house again, and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here, see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." And Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." And he came over and fell at his feet. I wanted to read you a quote from the book, The Lives of the Apostles. This incident involving Thomas convinces everyone of the truth of the resurrection of the Lord in the most graphic manner, because Christ appeared to his disciples not as a phantom and not in some other body, but in the very one in which he had suffered for our salvation. And as you notice, again, I think we talked about this before, locked doors were no problem for Jesus. And the large stone rolled in front of the tomb was no problem. He didn't have any difficulty getting through anything. And so I want to end with the last part of this chapter. Jesus did many other miraculous signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not recorded in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. So we can truly say, Christ is risen. Thank you for listening today.